So we'll call this meeting to order. And we are on a Zoom for, do you want to tell the public why?
Yes. So this is the meeting of the Urbandale School Board, and the date is June 22nd, 2020. Time is 6:33 p.m. We are meeting virtually like this or distance due to the COVID pandemic, and some of our board members are meeting via Zoom. And President Hauser has called the meeting to order. I'll do a roll call. Ashley Anderson. Hold on, let me unmute her.
I'm here.
Okay, Ashley Anderson is present. Judy Downs.
Here.
Mark Smith.
Here.
Brianna Sayer-Geyser.
Here.
Stacy Anderson.
Here.
Catherine Hauser.
Here.
And we have our guest tonight is Dr. Ronnie Stalker.
So we do have a quorum. We have 6 of us. And at this point, Dr. Stalker is going to go ahead and facilitate our beginning to find a new leader for our district.
Sorry, could I have a motion to approve the agenda? I'm sorry about that.
So moved.
Downs.
Second.
Sayer-Geyser. We'll do a roll call vote to approve the agenda. Smith.
Mary Beth, Sarah's here if you want to.
Oh,
check
Sarah
her
is
in
here.
and unmute
Okay,
her.
thank you. Let me get her in. Sorry.
Okay, so I'll amend that. We have 7 of us.
Yes, we do. Sarah Schmitz
Here.
and Brianna Sayer-Geyser. Yes. For the approval of the agenda.
Hi.
Yes, and Catherine, yes. Unanimous.
Yeah. Hey.
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for trusting me to be part of this process. I feel a bit like an ad hoc member of the team, so I'm excited to be here with you. But what I'd remind you is, this is, with no exceptions, the most important function of the Board of Education, is to hire the leader that sets the tone for you. So I'm going to be a little more vocal tonight. I've tried in the last couple times to be a little quiet, just facilitate and pose the questions and guide you through your discussion. Because this is so critical, and because there are some experiences I have with this, I will try not to overtalk you, but there are some things that I think it's important that I share. The superintendent you hire is the person that models the culture that you want in your district. And I've heard you talk about your goals and how important those are. The person you hire is the person that sets the tone for the operation that carries out these goals. You set the vision and goals, and then you hire someone and you hold them accountable. Your role is to govern and hold that person accountable. Their role, as you know, I'll be a bit redundant now and again, but their role is the day-to-day operations. You say, go do this, they go do it, and if they don't, you'll, nope, wrong. That's your job, plain and simple. If you think about the leader setting the culture of the district, I'd like you to think about the awfulness of our world as we've known it over the last several days and weeks. I had an opportunity to hear Judy Bradshaw, the retired chief of police of the Des Moines Police Department. And one of the things she said was, there are cultures within a police department where the action that we saw that led to all the protests would simply not be allowed. Anyone would say, nope. There are police departments where the culture would say, see no evil, speak no evil. And so you set the culture, and the person you hire carries that out for you. So I think the first thing that it's important for you to do is identify what's the big deal about bringing somebody here? Why would someone want to come to Urbandale Community Schools? That's the question. So I'd like you to talk among yourselves to each other. What are the strengths of our district? Why does anyone care if we come to Urbandale? And as you talk about that, I'd like to point out some things to you, and this is where I'm going to editorialize a bit. District size is not totally reflective of what a district is. You are a high-performing suburban district. And you need to think of yourselves in that way. All parents want the best for their children. There's not a parent alive that doesn't want their child to be cared for and to do well. In a district like yours, you have a high number of parents who are highly educated, highly placed professionals. And as a result, they have extremely high expectations for their children. And I can tell you this because I've been in rural Southern Iowa and I've been in suburbia. Common thread is people love their children and they want the best for them. But the difference is highly placed professional parents see the children in a bit different way. And then as part of that discussion, and I'll separate it for you, but just as an intro, what are the challenges in a district like yours? Know and celebrate what we do well. But are you as a board willing to recognize where the gaps are? What strengths do you want in your superintendent to be able to fill that? Are you able to step back and say, these programs have served us well, and by golly, we're going to keep doing this. And then, are there other programs that have served us well, but they've lived their natural life? So let's start. And Mary Beth, I'd ask you to do some recording here, if you can.
Okay, I just wanted to tell you, all they're able to do for audio is pick up from my computer, so you may want to talk louder, and I know with masks. Okay, so I just wanted to
So
tell
for
you
the
that.
rest of you,
Yes.
and I'm not masked only because I think I'm far enough apart, but
Yes.
I've worn it every place I've gone, so I don't treat this lightly.
Would it help to bring the computer to the table closer?
I can't. I'm going to have to be there too, so I can let people in. If that's okay.
Yeah. Maybe it's already.
We can
Yeah.
project.
Yes.
I'm going to miss some of the people because
That might have a better sound.
Beth, I believe is ready to record.
it is
And
recording.
she'll transcribe all this and send it to you. What's a question say? So let's first of all talk about among yourselves, share with you, what do you see as the strengths of the district? The blunt, flat out question is, why does anybody want to come here? What's good about us?
I feel like we're in a good position for someone who, well, now this, I would have said this pre-COVID, doesn't necessarily need to put out fires. We're not in an emergency position financially. We are building, we have stable enrollment. Obviously the coronavirus presents a different situation, but it would be an opportunity for someone who is big on culture, big on being creative and willing to take, I think, something that's relatively healthy or and help it kind of transition to the future. Trying to stay positive here, but I think that someone would want to come here because they felt like they could make an impact on the culture and leadership of a district, because this job would allow them like the time to do that. Like I said, because they're not we're not worrying about layoffs. Now, all of this pre-COVID, I don't know how, I think a crisis manager is probably always one of the top things you will look for in a superintendent, and that becomes more important. You don't know what this job is going to look like in a year. I feel like every one of our comments tonight is going to be a little bit like,
uncertainty.
Yeah.
But yeah, taking that, what I see as the opportunity is what you're really talking about.
Yeah.
We have a fiscally responsible, healthy school district, and so you appeal to somebody who really wants to take the opportunity to push some boundaries and programs a little bit further and be a leader. I mean, we're all talking about equity all the time, right? And how we want to be a leader in that area. It's the opportunity with the financial strength that we have to do that.
I think as a smaller metro district also, that helps with a little bit more in that leadership where we don't have to necessarily keep up with the Joneses or keep up with the big school districts, but we have diversity within our school district. We have some different cultures and ethnicities that we can embrace and celebrate, and also look to in a way that's also a little bit of a challenge as well that we need to think about. Do all families and all children in our district feel included in the buildings that they're in? We're on the road also to some really nice new facilities, new buildings, new athletic facility. There's I think things that are up and coming that make it a little bit more attractive as a suburban school district, if you will. And there's been, I think, some nice growth even with the leadership team, with looking at different developmental areas. So not just academic. So I think where we still have some room to grow, we've been looking a little bit more into social, emotional, behavioral, mental health. There's teams that are thinking about that more and working with that. So we're not just only focused on the academic side, but even academically, we still have some high performing schools. We still have lots of students that are getting honors in different areas. And so I think that that's a very attractive part of our school district.
So for strengths, we would talk about diversity as a strength.
Yeah, I think so.
Facilities as a strength.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at student performance.
Mm-hmm.
When you disaggregate, I'm sliding into the gaps a little bit, but when you disaggregate, are there areas that you need to or know you should zero in on a bit? The data, whether it be our special education students or our minority students.
Yeah. Our conditions for learning, our culture and climate, I think, can still continue to grow. But if we are not targeted or comprehensive, some of our schools are, that's, I think, definitely a strength and so I think leadership that has been formed has done a really good job of leading that road, if you will.
Mary Beth, you can turn off the waiting room if you want.
There's not many people coming in. Thank you.
Other comments down here?
I didn't really have, I don't think I have anything of substance to add because everybody spoke so eloquently that there is a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of room for growth. We have a board that's willing to entertain in uncomfortable conversations that do occur with growth. So I think that if somebody sees themselves as a force of change and also unity, that this is a good opportunity for them, and it does provide the stability that the others were talking about while maintaining a sense of diversity.
because this is my first time on this side of the camera, I've been in a lot of Zoom meetings, is how do I ask Mary Beth? Is there anyone out there
Sarah or
who'd like to
Ashley?
speak? I'm used to waving my hand and having someone acknowledge.
It will be Sarah or Ashley, and they should be unmuted.
We don't want to.
Sarah and Ashley, do you have any comments to make on this?
I think we've covered, this is Ashley, I think we've covered quite a bit of what I was going to say. I think Stacey's definitely on the right track with the idea that our district gives a good opportunity for someone who wants to be a change maker, and I'm not going to be as eloquent as everyone else, so I'm on board. I think Sarah keeps muting herself because of the kids, so.
Yes, I try to unmute and then it goes back.
She doesn't want Shayla to participate.
Hey, Sarah, do you have any?
I do keep muting myself because my daughter is here and not respecting our meeting. So, but I don't have really anything to add right now. I think, overall we covered, you were just asking for strengths, correct?
Right now, and we're going to slide into challenges in a minute, but right now, strengths.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure that, yeah. Okay. So I don't think I have anything else to add right now. Yeah. I was thinking something, but I think that would come late. I would add that later.
I would say what I've always perceived as an advantage here for the district is the size. Because it's not so huge that people get lost, and including the staff. And, I've been in buildings where there were thousands of kids, and so I think that we probably need to somewhat capitalize on that. Most students can participate in the activities that they'd like to, because they aren't pushed out because there's too many. And I think it lends itself to a community, that the staff itself becomes a community because they all do know each other. And there's enough turnover and enough, in contrast to myself, young blood coming in, that there is still an energy that is continually created that I think is a huge advantage for a district like this. I think it's a huge plus for the district that we will have 3 state-of-the-art, essentially, elementaries, that we're not going to have to worry about facilities for the foreseeable future. So I think that's a huge plus. I think we will continue to grow a little bit. I think that there will be some houses built out by Webster, but we are prepared to deal with that. There's been enough farsightedness that we will be able to absorb those families. So there's some energy that's coming. And I wish at this point that we didn't have to deal with this epidemic, because everything here would be just really fun. But right now it's not. So
I think, can I talk about an opportunity?
Absolutely.
Catherine, I never really thought about this before, but like your point about our size, I feel like a lot of the places where we fall short is because we don't, like we're letting that opportunity down, because we can be really inclusive. We can let everyone participate, but we have a lot of disparity in some of our student behavior or learning that we've talked about before, or discipline, not necessarily behavior. And then from the culture standpoint, like, because we can be kind of like a family when that isn't fully nurtured and taken advantage of, I think that's both of those are opportunities for growth or challenges that we have.
another additional strength is how the district has embraced our youngest learners with preschool. You know, even to the point where hiring a person in charge of all preschool so that that person can truly be the director and help with that program. And it's not just 4-year-olds. It's not just our students the year before they go to on kindergarten. There's many opportunities for 3-year-olds. There's opportunities for all day care, the wraparound program. And I just think that's very unique to the Metro, and it's definite strength, and why we have many families that even open enroll later or after because they've had such a great preschool experience.
And I'd like to see that expanded.
Yeah. We could be a real Metro-wide leader if we took what we had and expanded it.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the key strengths as you begin to look for your person. We've talked about the power of early childhood education for years, and you are bringing that to life right here, which some districts are not. We don't have the space. We don't have the money. We don't have that. You have found a way. And that sets you apart. Challenges. And we can advertise for someone based on our laurels, but they're going to have work to do when they come. Everyone does. What challenges?
Complacency is a little bit of a challenge that we
Say
have.
that again.
Complacency.
So proud.
Because we do have a lot of things on a technical scorecard that are going well. It can, I think, from a leadership perspective, reduce that urge to challenge and kind of be the change maker that a few people mentioned. So there's been a few times where something's come up that we've seen every year on the board, and the board, I feel like we're a challenging board where we ask, why are you doing this thing? You know, why has this thing always been done the way it's been done? And I'd like to see a superintendent who asks those questions themselves and not just the board, but like who is challenging. And I guess I'm kind of getting into attributes that I think, but.
Well, as you're thinking about this question, think not just of your strengths, or don't just think of gaps, which is where we tend to go first, but think about a strength you have that you'd like to do even better. You say, you know, we do this, we're just pretty darn good here, but we could be a whole lot better. That can be a challenge, not necessarily a deficit, but something that you also want to do better. So keep talking. We want to ask our Zoom people first, so they don't have to just say ditto.
Ashley, do you have anything to add to that? Challenges?
I'm still thinking of the best way to word my thoughts, so I might need a little time.
Sarah, do you have anything you want to add right now?
Much as size as an opportunity.
Have, yes, been considered a bit challenging, or considered to challenge the superintendent at times, or administrative thinking. It would be like, I would definitely be looking for a candidate that is going to ask the difficult questions and open to feedback, and not take it as questioning, but as more so, I guess, if you want to say, with a growth mindset, and the idea that, it's, questions are brought forward because we only want to see, we only hope to see things going in the right directions. I think a challenge for me right now, actually, I think it was listed as a strength, but I think in some ways, our cultural responsiveness, I think we need to that needs to be a priority. We have an opportunity, kind of this was said, but we have an opportunity due to the size of our district to be a leader in that area, because I think we can more effectively make changes in a district our size that students are, possibly immediately able to feel. And I think that that's, one of the most important pieces that I would be thinking about. And just like, yeah, that's pretty much it. I like, that's all I have to add right now.
Go right ahead.
He's spot on, because I feel like there's Urbandale doesn't look like it used to, and that's amazing. That's why I live here. But I think a lot of our still acting like it does, and also too, to be very honest. And like, I think as a district, instead of trying to bring those two things together, we just gotta embrace and claim what we are, and like be, just like Sarah said, we have an opportunity to have one of the most diverse and embracing suburban school districts. If we own it more instead of like trying to.
Like about some of our country.
Exactly.
That you'd be. Mark, did we let you finish?
No.
We're going to slide into attributes. And after indulgence, I'm going to tell you a story. And what I'd like you to hear in this story, if you'll think of the expression, the more things change, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So I'm going to take you back a ways to when I came to Urbandale the first time. And I would just tell you that in sharing this story with you, when you've been in my career, as you move forward, every place I've left a piece of my heart. And so you own a bit of me. So if you'll indulge me this a little, because I think as I reflected on how things were, I see a lot of how things are. And I think it will help inform your thinking and stretch your thinking as we go into the attributes of what you want in your superintendent. So it was 1990 and I came to Urbandale. 3 months away from being an elementary principal. Thought I'd made the big time. I'd been a principal in Ankeny. I got to be assistant superintendent in Urbandale. Life was good. I was here like 2-3 months and the superintendent that hired me left, which was probably a good thing for my mental health. And a man named Kelly Schlapko came in as the interim. He was the dean of superintendents in Iowa at that time, and he mentored me. And so Urbandale advertised for their new superintendent, and Kelly encouraged me to apply. Well, I did. And I had a good relationship with all the board members. Deafening silence. Not only did they not hire me, they didn't interview me and never told me why. And to this day, I thank them. I thank God every day that they did not hire me. The reason was I wasn't ready. I was not ready. I had no district level experience. I didn't know how the word system, solar system, whatever. I wasn't there yet. All I saw at that time were Urbandale strengths. I didn't see anything about what we needed. We had at that time, and this is what I want you to hear, significant issues to address. I became close friends with the community relations director of the Jewish Federation because of harassment and bullying and discrimination in Urbandale schools. We brought in people to help us work through things. Intolerance, discrimination, but a pattern of not saying. And it's where I learned to put a great deal of power in the expression, Silence implies consent. I'm a teacher, see something going on, I just go off. By not saying anything, I am implying that behavior, whether it be bullying or discrimination or whatever it is okay. The principals worked in silos. Each building was its own entity. There was little articulation as students moved through the system. Some of the most difficult discussions I had, I remember. The first grade teacher said, "Dear God in heaven, those kindergarten teachers just baby them. They're not ready for first grade when they come here." What? They believed that kindergarten teachers didn't work with the first grade teachers to get them ready to move through. Middle school teachers said, the elementary teachers baby them. They're coming to middle school now. They're going to have to learn. So we didn't talk to one another, didn't articulate through the system. And I will tell you, that's not unique to Urbandale. It's not unique here. We had, prior to my coming, and I think the first time I was here, Catherine kind of talked about all the jobs that I had. We had a director of staff development and a director of curriculum. Strong, charismatic director of staff development. Not as strong a director of curriculum. And so what I learned very quickly when both jobs landed on my desk was that weak curriculum beautifully delivered, still weak curriculum. So we had to pull all that together. But they didn't articulate, they didn't blend it, they didn't pull it together. And so the lesson that came to me, Urbandale shaped my career, and I will be forever grateful because of the lessons that I learned here, the lessons I was able to take on with me. The lesson from that was that the superintendent, the board, first of all, the board, the superintendent, the central office staff, and the building principals, and the association, which I didn't put in my notes, and I just thought of this, have to work together. We are a team. And everybody isn't working, doesn't understand, first of all, what the goals and the values of the district are, and then work together toward them. And you're just kind of popcorning around. And so the superintendent that you hire, when you think about the attributes that you want, the superintendent that you hire models the concept. They are the model of working as a team towards shared goals, shared values, shared direction. And if the person you hire, if you identify some things that you want to do better or different, if what you're asking them to do requires second order change, which means not just doing what we're doing better, but doing it in a very, very different way, you will hear, they never talk to us anymore, they never listen to us, or morale's never been bad, or never been as bad. And so you have to understand that when you ask of your superintendent, this is where we're going. And you're a leader, and you're modeling it, we're going to move on.
Can you say that again? Say that again.
On the change part,
Mm-hmm.
There's a great deal of research, and it may have changed. I will admit my research basis is not yesterday. But what I lived and experienced is when you have second order change, and second order change doesn't say we're going to take our math curriculum and we're going to do it a little better. So we're going to throw out the math curriculum and we're going to bring in a different one. So it's doing something very different than we've done before. And that's hard for people. It's hard for all of us. Me, everyone. It makes people uncomfortable and scared. And so when you bring in a new superintendent, you ask them to do something that requires that kind of change. The teachers are going to come to each of you over coffee or wherever they see you, and they're going to say, they never listen to us anymore. They will say, they never tell us anything. And they will say, morale has never been worse. And I've seen that play out over and over and over and over. And so that's not something I read in a book. It's my experiences. And I want you to understand that. So as you look for a superintendent that can be your change agent in those areas that need change, and your cheerleader in those areas that stay the same, well, there has to be change. It's tough. So when you bring them in, you have to understand that. I said earlier, you're a district with parents that have high expectations. They should be. Look at where they, look at them. They expect rightfully that their children receive not just an exemplary education, but that they receive an experience that raises responsible, thinking, caring young people. You're not just feeding them stuff to learn. You're teaching them how to be good people. And they have a right to expect that. So as you begin to think about the attributes of the person, I think I want to stop here. Let's talk about the attributes you want, and then we'll come back and talk about what you're looking for in the search firm. It's going to help you find this person, because that's critical. And I will admit to you right now, I'm going to have some biases about that, about how I think some people go at it and some don't. And that, again, is just lots of years of observation. So we'll come back to that. But right now, let's just stop and say, okay, based on what I told you historically the district needed, what you look at today, I want you to dig deep on this one. What kind of a person do you want that will lead you, keep the high points high, and bring those that are still working on it up with that? Several of you said, we're the right size. You are the perfect size. Your parents have all the expectations, characteristics, demands, if you will, of West Des Moines, Waukee, Ankeny, any of the biggies. It's there, it's the same pool. Parents, go to work, look around. It's the same pool of parents. But in a district of 10,000 and a district of 4,000, just think of the difference of what you can do. So what kind of a person do you want to help you get there? Mary Beth, record. I'll listen. Dr. No?
I think someone that's an effective communicator is going to be really important. Somebody that has a proven ability to effectively govern and handle all the moving parts at a high level that is the school district, and is able to carry out direction from the board and lead with bravery. And I think going back to having the uncomfortable conversations to lead us all throughout the district into a growth mindset.
Pull out of there, Mary Beth, carry out the direction of the board. Remember, you are a team.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think along those lines is then good teaming ability, like so you can be a high functioning team. So that it's going to take attributes of team participant, not just a team leader. Right, yes, and cooperation and that mutual trust, but that's not just, doesn't just happen automatically. You know, that's also can be earned throughout those relationships that you build. And I guess I think of that true instructional leader. So somebody that is willing to, if I ask you to take this particular professional development, then I'll sit side by side with you if I need to. Or, you know, if there's a bus associate that can't make it, then I'll jump on the bus if I have to. So it's that person that's willing to really lead in by modeling. And, you know, I would prefer somebody that's knowledgeable in the majority of our educational areas. So they might not be the expert, but they would be knowledgeable about the areas, especially areas that we might feel that are a challenge or concerning. You know, different things that we want to work on and enhance, whether it be equity or diversity or social emotional behavior, mental health, whatever. They at least have some background content knowledge and feel like that's a subject they can talk about, maybe not be the expert on, because they also have a team to support them. So.
The notes that I made before this meeting are strong leader, visionary, hands-on, not complacent, creative. I think leadership, we have a lot of like team building, collaboration, facilitation experience in that, but I think that requires a little bit of a hands-on approach right now. I think we're in need of that.
Say that again.
I think that the level of collaboration that we need as a district requires a hands-on approach.
Well, I would like to tell you that what you discovered 30 years ago is different. Some of those issues still exist.
And that's not unique to Urbandale.
No, I know. And so I would say that what I heard you talking about was kind of a servant leader who basically isn't afraid to get in, get their hands dirty, has done it. And I think we have some issues with hierarchy in the district that it would be nice if everybody really did feel like they were on the same team. But I have the sense that sometimes in the buildings, there's some, some competition. The silo thing, I think, still exists. It has been that way. I'm not faulting anyone that's here. That was here when I got here. So I think systemically it will help when we are combined to, going from 4 to 2. I mean, they're gonna have to. But I also think that fear, vulnerability of kind of hanging out at the end of that limb sometimes is difficult for the administrators, and I'd rather we all felt like we were on a team. Historically, the district has kind of hired people with elementary backgrounds. I think it would be good to have someone who had some exposure to curriculum, for example, to, just like you were talking about, a secondary building, which is quite a bit different from, a preschool center or the elementaries. I think the other thing that I think is extremely important, and I was going over some of the surveys, the Gallup and the Studer, and I continue to have kids not feeling safe in their buildings and staff not feeling particularly safe. I don't know what the answer is there, but I think it's a core issue that continues, and it comes across in every survey, and it's not getting better. So that is a major concern to me. What else? I would love to have someone who is transparent and trustworthy, that when we had a conversation, that we could understand clearly that we knew everything there is to know, or that we could use to try to make a good decision in a timely fashion, organized. I feel very strongly that we need someone who has of the highest ethics. And I'm not sure how you gauge that, except when you know someone, but it's extremely important to me that we have people who know and do the right thing. I'd love to have someone that was a strong motivator, that could step up in front of the group and bring them with them. I'm not sure how you evaluate that either, but I'd really like someone to just walk on water. But I think maybe the most important is a safe culture for everyone who's in it, including down to the bus drivers, the custodians. I'm not sure that everyone feels safe now. I'd love to have everyone feel safe, including the staff, the kids. And that's my whole list.
I'm sure we'll let the Zoom people talk here in a minute too, but I also heard Sarah talk about that growth mindset, really making sure that somebody has that innovation and that, creativity, the curiosity, and then that growth mindset that is constantly learning with the times, if you will, and learning with the staff and learning with the board and learning so that your growth mindset isn't fixed and that it's really truly something that can take our district maybe even to the next level, if you will.
Such opportunity. Zoom people.
It's Ashley. I'll go first. I think a lot of the stuff everyone said I already had written down in my notes for today. But the big one that I really think we need to focus on is finding someone who is brave enough to take on the challenges that are already facing us and going to be facing us. It's not easy to be the person advocating for change. And we have, as Catherine said, we have a lot of issues when it comes to safety. And I think we have some growth that needs to happen when it comes to inclusion with the changing of our district. And as the next couple years come on, and I know we'll have different buildings and things are going to be changing, they really have to be able to lead in a way that makes everyone feel like we are headed in the right direction. I just think that's one of the most important things that we can be looking for in someone. And the other thing that I really hope that we look for in someone is the team cooperation mindset, making sure that while they're leading, all of us feel like we are together in whatever topic we're taking on at any given time. I think as a board, we are fairly progressive in how we want to handle some of our challenges. And I want to make sure that whoever we hire kind of is in the same sort of thought process of, okay, this is a hard challenge. It's going to take a lot of work. Let's make sure we do it and we do it right and really pour themselves into it. Yeah.
I agree, actually. That was awesome.
Sarah, do you have any attributes you want to discuss?
She's still muted. Oh, is she gone?
This crazy world.
I was just thinking about like all the SNL skits about this.
Like I heard Ashley.
All the comedy.
This is a great one. I heard Ashley use the word great. And I'd equate that.
Stacy said that earlier.
Yeah, Stacy said it first.
Oh, excuse me, great. Stacy and Ashley. I'd ask you to think about how you couple the word brave with the way you couple the word vulnerable. Somebody has to be willing to get on the bus. Somebody has to be willing to sit down with the teachers and say, tell me what's not working in the math curriculum. Tell me why our kids can't pass AP American history class. I don't know everything. And it's not everyone you hire that has the courage to say, I don't know, but I'm going to find out because I don't like not knowing. It'll sit down with everyone. And I just earlier very briefly mentioned the Teachers Association. When I was here, when I came in, the business manager and the chief negotiator said, are you willing to do this differently? And we started what then at that time we called roundtable negotiations. And we didn't get mad at each other. We didn't fight. We didn't go to arbitration, which also shaped how I did everything the next 20 years. But what that said was, I'm willing to listen to you if you're willing to listen to me. And so I'm not asking you to record any of this, but I'm saying as you look at your attributes, think about this greater context of the person, the hands-on collaboration. The other thing is not every superintendent will come to you as an instructional leader. They don't have to have been the director of curriculum, but they have to know what goes on in the classroom. And everyone doesn't. The training, by training, they're told you have to know school finance. Yeah, you do, because you can't get the district in trouble. But know that, put it on autopilot, and then know what goes on in the classroom.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because you said you weren't ready in the story you told earlier. But like at the same point, having that fresh memory of being in the classroom has to be a good thing. So like, do you think there's a sweet spot
I do.
of being out of the classroom, and what do you think?
I do. Are you ready for it? This paragraph right here.
Okay.
What I would tell you is, as you look and decide how you're going to move forward, and I'm going to merge this with looking for your search firm. Find someone that has the resources to look at a range of candidates. It's not just they're stable because they've done this forever, or the lead person in the search firm has been a principal and that's all they've ever been. But they went on and became search firm consultant. The county seat person, my biases are going to come through here, and I apologize for that, but it's all I have. They're mine. Start in a little district, you move up, get to be the county seat superintendent, big time, and where do you go from there? Try and get to the city. Well, the districts, the schools are different. The parents are different, the needs are different. So as you think about that, and you look at your search firm, have they only worked in Northwest Iowa? Have they only worked wherever they've worked? Have they done this for so long that they have their stable? And the same people apply wherever the district is? So the question is, and I'm back to you, Judy, is are you better served finding a person who understands a district like yours? They need to know. The metro is not where I came from, which is, I'd been to Ankeny as a principal, but I still was 3 years away from being a principal in Osceola, Iowa. And I got to tell you, rural southern Iowa is a whole lot different than Urbandale, Iowa. That person may not have superintendent experience, and I think that's what you're saying, but may come to you from a central office position or a position that understands district. And I'm going to use some words here. They understand the complexities of a district. They also understand the politics. And I use the word politics deliberately because it's there. And they have to understand that it's okay to open themselves up, to be vulnerable, to get out there, to get their hands dirty, to get into anything. I tried to walk through a building, every building every week. Now, did I make it? No, not always. But people knew I was going to be there and that I cared about what was going on. So this is not about me, but I'm saying find someone who's willing to get out of the office and to know what's going on, because they still remember what it was like not to ever having seen superintendent. I'm hoping, because like I told you, I left a piece of my heart here. I'm hoping you find someone who cares enough to know first names of the lunch lady, who's willing to get on the bus and ride around, who knows they don't have to go to every football game on Friday night because 80% of the people in the bleachers don't know who they are anyway. So who are you showing up for? The coaches, so they know you're there? That's not necessarily what they're doing, but they're out where people see them. It's as important to go on Saturday morning to sit in the high school and watch the speech kids as it is to sit in the, okay. So look for someone who understands, whether they've ever been a superintendent or not, but understands how a district works. Complexities, the layers, the intricacies. But what's important is that you identify where you want them to lead their growth issues, what your growth issues are and where you want them to lead. And here's what I'd leave you with, and then I'm turning it back over to Catherine to talk about how you want to proceed. One of the gifts that the Waukee School Board gave me, they had this old guy who'd done superintendent searches, I swear, for 100 years leading it. But the one thing he taught them to do is that as a board, you write down your first year expectations. What do you want them to focus on? And hold them accountable to that. And so when they called me back in the second time, he said, Ronnie, I mean, literally, I don't remember. He said, Ronnie, the first year expectations. If you can live with those, and if you agree with them, we'd like you to be our superintendent. I knew walking in the door what they expected of me, and they held me accountable for it. That was my review. I mean, we had all the nice forms and we checked the boxes, but what I was being held accountable to was what they gave me. And so what that said was, this is what we expect and we've got your back. When you hear they never talk to us, they never hear us, you know, all that stuff I mentioned, got your back. This is what we've asked you to do. So as you decide what the attributes are of your person, let's pull this together here. You know the challenge, the strengths and the challenges of your district. We've talked about the kind of person that you think you need to lead this. Next step is, do we go out on our own? Do we say to Mary Beth, run an ad in the Des Moines Register? Do it ourselves and screen every applicant that comes in, or do we hire someone? And if we hire someone, I'll talk to you a little about the cautions, what you look for and what you push back at. Once you find your person, how do you have their back? How do you let them know? This is not easy. This is not Pollyanna district. We've got challenges and we want you to help us, work with us to address them. We've got your back when you do. Back to you.
I can't get into my computer, so at this point, I would welcome some discussion about how you're feeling about how to proceed.
I'd like to hire a search firm. I concur, and then I would like to interview as a board. I mean, I'm hoping that everybody will want to do this collaboratively and interview final candidates as a board. I would ideally, as a board, like to interview no more than 5 people tops.
I'd like to see what the recommendation from the search firm would be to have like a plan for that, but I think it's good to kind of make that plan, but it'd be nice to have an expert with us to say like, there are some models of ways to do it.
But to have a search firm that would like take a lot of what Ronnie said, and as Catherine sort of playing telephone and relaying our comments, I hope that we can find a recruiter that hasn't been doing this for 100 years, like Ronnie says, and that's really willing to listen to our unique set of needs. And that Catherine would be willing to coordinate to find the perfect search firm for us, or how that would work, because I'm not sure how that would work.
So Mark, how are you feeling?
Search firm is probably the route to go.
Okay.
What did Mark say? I couldn't hear. Sorry.
Ashley,
Yes.
how are you feeling about a search firm?
What did Mark say? I missed what he said.
Mark,
Search
I heard,
firm.
you hear him?
no, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Search firm was the way I would go.
Sick. Awesome. I agree. While I was looking through some of the ones offered by whoever, a lot of them mentioned that they would do focus groups with people in the community and stakeholders and us and teachers and a whole bunch of other things. And I think that would be really beneficial if we're going to build a community feel where we're all on one team, we're all working together. I think that is a good way for us to start this off on the right foot.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that everyone that is present advocates to look at search firms. That's accurate? Do I need a motion to that effect?
Yes, because it has possible action,
Okay.
possible motions.
I would move for us to hire.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, the motion was by Downs and second by Anderson, Ashley Anderson, to hire a search firm. We'll do a roll call vote. Catherine
Yes.
Hauser, Stacy Anderson,
Yes.
Brianna, Sarah Geiser,
Yes.
Mark Smith,
Aye.
Judy Downs,
Yes.
Sarah Schmitz,
I don't know if she's back on. I don't think she's back on.
Ashley Anderson.
Yes.
Did you find it? Ronnie, is it?
Yeah, it's just right there.
So that motion carried to hire a search firm.
Okay. So our next dilemma is, do we consider interviewing some of these search firms? I also need to tell you that I have a late add to the list. Those lists came from combination from Rourke Horn, who is head of the SAI and IASB. So they were as up to date as I had. I do have another ad, and that would be Dave Wilkerson, who is currently the lobbyist for SAI, which is the School of Administrators of Iowa. He was also long career, former superintendent in Waukee. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Ronnie has consented to perhaps join him in a search. So that's another consideration. And I don't know whether we want to proceed that we interview these firms. If we narrow it down to 2 or 3, and I got to tell you, from looking through them, if you got a chance to look through them, there's realistically probably 3 on there, maybe. Some of them don't exist anymore. That's an inclusive list, but so what I would say, and I don't know whether how many of you had a chance to look through them? Okay.
I looked through a number of them.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking probably Ray and Associates out of Cedar Rapids, perhaps. McPherson out of Omaha. And possibly, what's his name? I don't have it in front of me.
Here.
Grunmeyer, perhaps, out of Ankeny. And then maybe, Dave, possibly, with Ronnie.
Is it standard to do like a RFP or to do what's the procedure here? Because I think I'd like some mechanism to compare
Right.
interview or.
And so what I'm kind of thinking is an initial contact by someone, me or you, as the board secretary, probably more appropriate, you, and just say, you know, we have found the names of these firms, and this is our timeline, and what would you be interested in visiting with us, maybe over a Zoom, another meeting?
Should we do a really informal RFP where we have like 3 or 4 questions that we have for
Yeah.
all of them?
And I don't know if you looked at it, but most of them have kind of what they're offering.
Yeah.
And there's different tiers of service, is what I picked up, right?
Let's reach out to the 3 or 4 inquire if they were interested in engaging here by time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Provide us the information in your.
Yeah.
I also wonder,
I've seen them present at board meetings, like no more than 30 minutes, each of them. And then the board made a decision after that.
and I also wonder if there's been other metro districts that have recently hired a new superintendent. So it might not be a bad idea to reach out to them and see what firm they use and were they happy with that firm. I mean, I think that makes some sense as well.
I think that's a great idea. Especially, do we know who Des Moines used? Because they had a very public, I think, public forum with their candidates. And
Yeah,
before
and
this
that
meeting,
would
I got a
be,
lot of good feedback about their
right,
process.
and that would be part
Is there
of probably what we arrange and pay
Yeah.
for.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know.
Yeah. That's been, how long has he been there? 10 years?
It's been long.
Was it
Hey,
Mishik? Was Mishik right before?
No, it was that other gal.
No, that we don't. I'll tell you the story later.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I was a student, but I was just wondering the timeline.
Yeah, he came on after that.
I also wonder about costs too. Like, do we need to compare costs and so not only just interview, but what, are they prepared to offer us? What can they help us with? And then their cost as well. Because if one firm happens to be, significantly higher than another firm, that might help make our decision as well.
Right.
I have no idea.
I do like the idea of sending out, I'm just having the worst brain moment today, the RPF or PFR, whatever it's called, my brain's not working, to a whole bunch of them with a specific set of questions, just so we can get, especially so we can ask to see, as Ronnie said, how many times they've worked within the metro versus how many times they've worked outside of the metro, just specific questions, and find out how much it would all cost. I think that'd be very beneficial before we start cutting them down to too short of a list.
Well, right now we've only got 4 anyway, so, and I think that's probably realistic unless we want to go to Chicago or somewhere, which I think we have time. That's the advantage of having a year. We have time to actually try to really lay this out, do a good job.
And whether we, decide to stay locally, I still think that it's important for us to think about a nationwide search, right? Like, we don't want to just
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone who's worked with diverse school districts, and we have a chance to get the most diverse pool of candidates possible. I think there's a lot of opportunity. So what's our timeline for when we want, like working backwards, when do we want the search firm hired?
I would say that if we can do that before school starts, that would be a huge plus. I would hope that since we only have 1 meeting a month, that if we could continue to either meet this way or Zoom, that we would be able to, I would hope in 2 or 3 weeks that we could maybe begin to look at, is that reasonable? I mean, it's summer, it can't be that busy. That we could actually get together again and develop perhaps some questions. And some of them may tell us, no, we don't want to do that or whatever. I doubt it, but they might. There are sometimes added costs for people who have to travel, so that's another consideration, and a little more time commitment, obviously. So
I do think though that we think in this, what's happening right now, what can be virtual.
Yeah. Right. And I appreciate you all coming in tonight. I just thought this was a really important foundation. So
But I mean,
do,
even for like
yes.
interviewing firms and things like that, so if we can reduce travel costs, then we can just do it virtually.
And I would say, I haven't talked to Steve, and he's in Oregon. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'd say for the foreseeable future, we're probably Zooming at this point. So for all of our meetings. And they haven't been set, I'm sorry. So hopefully we'll know where the dates are set. So at this point, we kind of have a plan going forward.
So Mary Beth has the real action after this?
Yes,
so
and she and I can kind of visit about some of the other, I'm going to look through those websites again and see what other things are listed there, what the processes kind of look like. Yeah. Okay. So tentatively looking out, we meet for our regular board meeting on the 13th, so it obviously won't be then. But it might be the 20th or something like that, or
These people are going to be willing to give you a quick turnaround time, just in terms of a written response.
Okay.
So you may be able to review those
earlier.
by the 13th. I mean, you may have them too.
Okay.
You may have a written information from them, their interest in what they would bring.
Okay.
I don't think that's unreasonable to ask.
No. Okay. Well, and I haven't looked at the agenda
It's their job.
for July. Yeah, we might even be able to incorporate it
It's their
into,
job.
for July. Yeah, we might even be able to incorporate it into that meeting.
Mhm.
There shouldn't be that much on that one. So, okay.
You need are we? Motion to. Motion to.
Second.
Time is 7:44 p.m. Motion to adjourn by Dan, second by Stacy Anderson.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? That concludes our meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. It's been a